Welcome back to the Baytown Babysitters Club. In this episode, we're doing Hellraiser 2022.
Yeah.
Now, unlike Shudder, this movie came out or unlike Terrifier, this movie came out when it said it was going to. That's why we're reviewing it.
Yeah.
Um, so it was released yesterday. I was up at midnight.
Well, released today when we were Friday.
Okay, yes, it was released today. I was up at midnight and it was out at midnight.
Yep.
You had to search for it, but it was out at midnight and I watched it and then I watched it again. So now we're here to talk about all the times we've seen it and
Yeah.
whatever. So let's kick it off. Uh, I think that it would be wise for us to discuss the movie in a way that doesn't give any spoilers for like about 5 minutes. Like, just, hey, did you like it? Would you recommend it? And then after that, we go into specifics that may give spoilers away.
Okay.
That way, people, can go, all right, I've tapped out. I haven't seen it yet. I got the information I need. And then the people who did already watch it can continue to watch it.
Yeah. For our
And
entertainment values.
yes, exactly. Because we are entertaining as fuck.
Yeah, man.
Um, so what did you think of this?
I didn't like it, man. Nah, I fucking loved it. It was
Yeah.
so good. I love this. Fucking, I want to do a quick shout out. Motherfucking HBO, show, fucking Paramount,
Mhm.
Netflix, all these fucking streaming services. I want to just let you know this is how you do a goddamn reboot of a fucking movie. This is how you do a movie from the past and how you make it accessible. The fucking monsters, the Hocus Pocus 2 and stuff. Take note.
Yeah.
Old things that we can remember and see, and you add on them, and then you go, hey, wow, I really like that idea. That's a good idea.
Yeah. The Munsters is growing on me a little bit, but not
No, it
enough for me
isn't.
to
Yeah, it's growing on you like
just
fucking fungus or chlamydia.
both of those are growing on me as well. No, but it is growing on me a little bit. Like I'm trying to not take it seriously and just think of like how goofy and fun it is to watch, not funny. But
Hmm.
anyways, we're not here to talk about that. We're here to
Yeah.
talk about Hellraiser. Did you think that
No,
Jamie?
did you like the movie?
Oh yeah, I loved it.
Yeah.
I like it. I kept checking the time. I kept pausing it and checking the time because I didn't want it to end.
Yeah.
Like when it was really ramping up towards the end, I kept pausing it like, oh, please don't be over. Please don't be over. Please
Yeah.
don't be over. And I was fully satisfied at the end of the movie.
Yes.
I thought it was great.
Okay.
So do you think Jamie did a good pinhead?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I
I
agree.
think that
She got the
the
essence perfect.
well, it had been so soiled by the bad Hellraisers.
True.
I think that image was so soiled that this new image of a Hellray of Pinhead
Hmm.
um really just was like wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Um even like down to the pins are real. They look like pins, not
Hmm.
nails. Because
Yeah.
it was always the thing is it looked more like nails on
Hmm.
the older ones. But yeah, the character I thought was fine. The only thing I'll complain about, the only thing about that character I'll complain about is the voice dub that they have, like that distorted style
Hmm.
of voice.
Hmm.
Kind of, it was hard to tell some dialogue. And I know they went in and out of different ideas with it, but it was fine. It just I wish they would have like found a middle ground for the voice.
Okay. I definitely see what you're saying, but I also liked the fact that they did that because we know Hellraiser as, Doug Bradley. He's a man, he had that deep voice. Jamie's a female. She has this, lighter voice, but Pinhead is never really he's the character is supposed to be kind of sexless anyways.
Yeah.
So mixing a male voice and female voice like that together and
Mhm.
distorting it, it makes sense. It makes him more it makes Pinhead more androgynous. Like it's just
Oh yeah.
a being. I didn't have any trouble hearing what she was saying through the I keep saying he because I'm used to Doug Bradley.
No.
um I didn't have any trouble, you know, deciphering what she was saying, but I do understand your point. It was heavily distorted. I feel like more in the beginning of the movie, like when she first started talking to Riley, the main character,
Yes.
there was a lot more filter on it. And then as the movie progressed, it kind of toned it down a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, no, the sound of the voice, it's just like it's like Bane. Okay. Like sometimes my brain can't process the information that is being spoken. Sometimes my brain can't process it. But like so when a line of dialogue was being I'd be like, huh? What?
Mm.
Like, oh, let me put subtitles. It's just I couldn't process it. Maybe it's just like they needed to like I said, a middle ground where it still sounds distorted and dark,
Mhm.
but at the same time, it's still like kind
Clear.
of yeah, clear. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
can okay, I
A
know what
clear
I'm
audio.
talking
Yeah.
about. But I mean,
Um,
that doesn't matter that much because the dialogue that in the beginning and in the middle, I thought the character was saying wasn't like important to
right. Right.
to
Right.
move the story along. It wasn't
Right.
until really the end, but like we said, we're not getting into that yet. So, yeah, I that's the only thing I would complain about. Is there anything else? Is there
So
anything that you?
on the fact of like not really understanding what she was saying in the beginning, when you get that first close up of her and
Mm,
she's talking to Riley, like she's a distance away, but you get a good look at Pinhead.
yeah.
I didn't know what she said because I was so taken back by how good it looked.
Yes.
Like the visual of it, I was just like, holy shit,
Yeah.
somebody really tried. Like
Mm-hmm.
all of the pins were nice and straight. Because if you go all the way down to like Hellraiser Revelations or whatever,
Yeah.
the pens are crooked
And
and they're
they're
just like,
flopping all over his
yeah, yeah,
face.
yeah. It's like clearly
Yeah.
rubber pens and shit. So like it was just, and then like the throat and like the facial structure, like I was just like, wow,
Yeah.
somebody made this with love. Somebody
Yes.
understood the assignment and they nailed it.
Yeah.
And then I was like, wait, what'd she say? And I had to rewind it and be like, oh, she said, bring us
Yeah,
somebody.
the
Like,
visuals are yeah, yeah, exactly. The visuals are like I'm they're amazing. But
they're
I
so
like
good.
the fact that like okay, in the first couple of Hellraisers, they're just in leather.
Yeah,
Like the Cenobites just kind of wearing leather.
right.
And these almost look like their skin has been turned into
Their
like a
clothing.
clothing.
Yeah.
Yes. Um
Yeah.
and
None
I
of them are
like
wearing clothes.
wow. Yeah. I
Yeah.
was just like, wow.
And it's funny
Um
because we were talking previously, probably not on a review or it got cut out, but we were talking about the comic book Cenobites. And you mentioned the one that shoulders were attached and he couldn't like drop his shoulders. And
mhm.
they definitely took that character with the one where the muscles are coming from the back
Yeah.
and wrapped around that headpiece and then it's attached to the shoulders.
Yeah.
And I saw that and I was like, oh shit, like they brought new Cenobites, like
Yeah.
awesome, like it.
There, yeah, the Cenobite, the idea of what can we create that's horrible, that's not been kind of, that maybe has been seen, but kind of let's amp that up, or
Hmm.
like something that hasn't been seen.
Hmm.
um and yeah, they ramped it up. The
Hmm.
one Cenobite who has like the skin pulled over its face,
Yeah, yeah,
it took the skin from the chest and pulled it over its face. I was like, oh, that's cool.
yeah.
The other one, she reminds me of the original female Cenobite that they had in the first one, where her throat is cut open and
Hmm.
like there's this elaborate like halo
Hmm.
um being put on, and that looked amazing.
Yeah,
uh
they did amazing work with the
yeah.
special effects in this.
Yes.
Like even like the CGI was pretty damn good. And the actual special effects makeup.
Yeah.
I the one critique that I do have is the
Mm.
chatter Cenobite. The chatterer. I, he just I like the original one better.
Yeah.
And the one thing about the makeup that I can say is they they missed the mark on making the Cenobites wet
Mm.
at like if you remember how like they always seem to be not Pinhead but like Chatterer seemed to like be wet in the mouth
Yeah.
and on his face and stuff like that, and it adds a level of fear to the costume because it makes it more grotesque. It makes
Yeah.
it more uneasy to look at. These were very dry Cenobites. There was no wet blood. There was no wet tendons.
No.
And, you know, logically, I guess eventually it would dry up after hundreds of years or whatever. But they missed that. And that's the only bad thing that I have to say about it.
Okay. Yeah, shiny.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like they look a little shiny.
Yeah.
But I can take that.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
Absolutely.
but yeah, I do understand, or like just kind of like gross. I think they
Yeah.
wanted to get away
Yeah.
from like gross
Right.
and wanted to focus more on like very angelic, not angelic, but very like glamorous looking,
Yeah.
horrifying things.
Yeah.
And where, if they, all right, we got to put the KY jelly all over them now, or the glycerin, so they
Yeah.
look, damp.
Yeah.
I think that would have looked a little off, but
Yeah,
yeah, I
yeah.
can see
Based
what you're
on what
saying.
they did look like, yes.
Yeah.
But the original Hellraiser had like a shoestring budget, and I think that that's probably why they did use
Yeah.
leather outfits to hide the bodies, except for what they could afford to do in
Yeah.
makeup. So this one, leaving out the leather, they put more detail in the bodies, and I think it worked really, really well.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Um, but yeah, so Chatterbox is the only one that,
Like the other two are three,
yeah,
four.
there was like four or five.
There was four or five. I
Yeah, and
know.
that would made me really happy
Yeah.
because they were like surrounding people and shit, and that was awesome.
Yeah. But that's also a plus and a negative, because there are some where it's just like, whoa, 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 what was that one? And then my
Yeah,
brain was
yeah.
like, oh, I want to see that one more. And then like you just kind of see it. There's the one where the guy, it's a male face, but it's
Hmm.
hollow.
Yeah, yeah,
And it's like, where has he been?
yeah.
He was on lunch break. You know, this
Well,
is a
she pulled out all the stops.
Yeah. It's just like, all right, I'm gonna call everybody
Yeah,
here.
yeah. I need backup.
Yeah, she pulled a fucking
They figured it
um
out.
what's his name from The Professional? Everyone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
It's like,
yeah.
okay.
So I think it's safe to say that we would recommend you go see this movie
Yes.
and enjoy it. It's on
Yeah.
Hulu. So let's go ahead and say if you've watched to this point, you're safe.
Yeah.
Beyond this, we're going to start spoiling the shit out of the movie.
Yeah.
So stop here because there is so much that we want to talk about with this movie. Um,
Yeah. You've been warned. Okay.
Yeah, you've been
So
warned. So let's move into it.
the let's talk about real
Yes.
quick
Yes.
things that are in this movie that we know that they added to. Let's start with the best character. The fucking box is
The
a character.
box. So when we talked about this movie, I brought up the concern of the box. That was the first thing that I said. It was like, I saw in the previews, the box wasn't in a box shape, and I'm worried about that. So when I saw the box and I heard it dropped and it made a metal sound,
Yeah.
and then the articulation and just how beautiful it looked, yeah,
And that
man, I was
mm,
so
mm,
fucking happy about that.
yes.
Like, I was like, holy shit, this is like beyond. Like, I was so concerned that it was such a big relief when I saw it.
Yeah.
Because you only see it in like a rectangular pose in the trailer for a split second.
Yeah.
And I was like, that better not be the first formation of the box. Like,
Which
that
it is.
concerned me. Well, it is when you first see it, but it
Yeah.
isn't the first formation of the box.
No.
It had already been contorted several times or whatever. But
Yeah. Yeah.
so that box was incredible.
The details on it
It,
are
yes.
and like even more like like in the old ones they would always kind of like spin their thumb around on the circle
Mm-hmm.
part, but this
Mm-hmm.
one actually felt like it was moving and
Mm-hmm.
clicking, and
Yeah.
then the sides are clicking nice,
Mm-hmm.
and it became the center focus of the story.
Mm-hmm.
Not like the Cenobites are the like side effect,
Right.
you know.
Right.
This is still the box is the drug.
Right.
The Cenobites are what happens if you fuck around with it,
Yeah.
and I like that detail.
Mm-hmm.
They also gave new um like rules. They gave new
Right.
rules to it
Mm-hmm.
that you just some random guy cannot fuck around with the box, and you know he can, but he's not going to solve the puzzle box.
Right.
It also felt like this box compared to the old ones. The old one, I know in like the third or the fourth movie, they're like, oh yeah, some French guy designed it back in the 1700s or whatever. This felt otherworldly.
Yeah.
Like it appeared on Earth. It didn't wasn't created,
Right.
wasn't made. It just appeared, and and it was like, yeah, I like that. It doesn't feel of this Earth, and mhm,
One of the big things that I really was like, my mind was put to ease after seeing the box was its heft. It
mhm,
had some weight to it.
yeah,
Like when they were dropping it or throwing it or it rolled over or whatever, you could hear it had weight to
yeah,
it. That was important to me because in the first one, it's forgivable. You rub the clit and then it opens up. Like, okay, fine. But this one, with its heft, it seemed a little bit bigger. Number one, to show more detail.
mhm,
Number two, I feel like it actually worked to some extent because
yeah,
I know some of it was CGI and some of it wasn't, but I felt like there was basic parts like, when it pops apart and she like shoves it together, I feel like it actually did that.
yeah,
I feel like they designed different boxes at different stages and they actually were functional, and that's something that not only with it taking like a back seat in the later Hellraiser movies, I feel like they didn't try on the box. The box
yeah.
was just like a side piece where it was like, this is the reason, get rid of it. And
No, it
now,
always moved on its own. Like
right,
they would be
right.
like, and then it
Yeah.
would like just do that one simple motion
Yeah. Yeah.
always.
Yeah.
No, this one, they are physically doing the
Right.
puzzle, and like, yeah, that's good because the actor now has to act that they have this thing on there, and it
Right.
it is getting heavier. The more
Mm-hmm.
that you solve the box, It is getting heavier.
Yeah.
And with the incorporation of that the blade
Mm-hmm.
that um that stabs you,
Mm-hmm.
or the blood offering.
Right.
Like, yeah, I don't remember that. That might have been maybe in 4 or 5 or
Yeah, I don't think.
whatever, but
I think that was a whole new aspect. And again, I could be wrong, but like the different stages of the box and giving a sacrifice to each stage of the box
yeah,
to get your audience with God.
yeah,
Like that was all new to me. Like it was always the box comes up, it rotates, and now you got to deal with Cenobites.
yeah,
Like the idea of it having each thing had a purpose, each stage of or each formation of the box had a purpose, and each stage, meant something specific.
mm-hmm.
I think that that was all new, and I think it was super creative,
Yes,
and I loved it. I loved they did a good job of adding backstory where there was none and making it a good backstory
yeah,
so that I'm not like this came out of nowhere.
yeah,
Like it when she was flipping through the book at the mansion and she sees the different stages, I was like, oh shit, okay, this all makes sense to me now.
yeah.
And there was never really a reason to fuck with this box
No, it was
before,
always like a
you know?
prop.
Right.
Like we need a kryptonite for the Cenobites. We need
Yeah.
something that will bring them into the world and take them out of the world. And it was just this box. And
Well,
this actually felt like there was cause and consequence to your
right.
actions in this movie. There's a
Right.
reason for the box, not just there's a box, you
Right.
know?
Well, in the earlier Hellraisers, it always seemed like curiosity started it,
Yeah.
and then the consequence was again the Cenobites. This one, the average person who picks up the box and gets cut, that doesn't necessarily mean that the Cenobites are coming for you. Because if you remember, Riley cuts her hand on it almost immediately.
Yeah.
That's why towards the end, Pinhead's like, "We have your blood. We can take you at any time.
Yeah.
Two more." So like the idea of just random Joe picking it up and going, "Yeah, okay, blah blah blah, whoopsie daisy." That's how they started all those. That's how they started all those Hellraisers.
Yeah.
This one, the occultist has an idea of what this box does, and he wants this power from this box.
Yeah.
So that leads him to continuously, you know,
Sacrifice people to get to
right,
the end goal. Yeah.
right. And so yeah, the box played a bigger part. It played a more fun part and it made sense. So another thing, another point to people understanding their assignment and
Yep.
doing it well.
Check. All right. Yeah. Okay. So another thing that
Mm-hmm.
was done in this movie that I've seen before,
Okay.
but done well better, is Leviathan.
Yes.
Okay, the actual labyrinth of Leviathan and the spherical the shape
Mm-hmm.
of Leviathan.
Yeah.
That was amazing at the end, where the borders of reality are starting to break down, and like the Chatterer, he
Mm-hmm.
walks out of that one on the road, and
So
then you
that was my only real, sorry to cut you off. That
no
was
no
my
no
only real, like, that CGI looked horrible. Him coming out of the stairs in the road, I was like, you motherfucker, that does not look good.
see.
Outside of that, no complaints.
But what got me was I didn't pay attention to the chatter. I was looking down into the hole and being like, oh, there it is, the configuration of, those endless stairs and
Right,
doorways
right,
of.
right.
And then when, you know, the shit hit the fan, and that house is now in the middle of Leviathan, and you just saw it endless, and it looked so good. And there was those lightning, it looked like lightning, but it
Mm-hmm.
it, it was unnatural. It
Right,
just had
right.
like this weird effect, and it was great. And
Yeah.
then obviously with the end of what is Leviathan and what does Leviathan do. you
Mm-hmm.
know, because we
Right.
always thought, no, Pinhead is just the runner of this place, I guess.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
But now we know, no, he is just a worker for
Mm-hmm.
this thing.
Yeah.
And
He's like a sergeant. Everybody else is a grunt,
no, he's a
but
Cenobite.
there's people above him.
No.
So, one thing that I liked about Leviathan in this is it came to you.
Yeah.
In the second one, you went to it.
Yeah.
And this one, when that spherical thing comes down, it comes to you. It comes
Mm-hmm.
up out of the ground. And, when she first showed up at that mansion, when Riley first goes to the mansion, because you see the mansion at first and you see the picture on the computer, and then she shows up, I'm like, son of a bitch, he built himself a cage.
Yeah.
Like, obviously I didn't know that dude was still alive at that time. I figured he was gone at that point, but he tried to defend himself. So I was like, that's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
But then, Leviathan kind of comes up from the ground and appears there in the situation instead of being taken to it.
Yeah.
I thought that that was really creative and really smart too.
Yeah. It felt like a menace. It
Yeah.
like before in like I think two, I think
Mm-hmm.
Hellbound
Mm-hmm.
is where we first see it. And it's just like this, it's like this shape and it has a black like
Mm-hmm.
light coming
Yeah.
from it. And it's like, okay, that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
But this one, it's like, okay, that's way better. You
Mm-hmm.
know,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I really like the this is what you do. You take small things, small
Mm-hmm.
fan service, and you just build. You just
Right.
put that clay on that motherfucker, and then you just start building this masterpiece.
Right.
And that is what this did. I
Yeah. It really feels like somebody watched the original one and then went, it would look cool. And then they went and did it, and they did it right. Somebody
yeah,
who actually appreciated the first one and second one, because there's three of them. Now there's
yeah,
three movies.
yeah,
But they watched the first two and they said, okay, I love these movies. How can I expand on this? And you're right. They took the little details and they made them that much better.
yeah.
Um, there were some questions that I had throughout the movie. Like, okay, so let's talk about the plot real quick. Okay.
Okay.
We've got Riley, we've got her brother, her brother's boyfriend, and the roommate. These are all going to be the casualties of the movie.
Yeah,
Um, and Riley's boyfriend, if I didn't mention. Um, I saw none of that coming.
yeah. You didn't think
Like,
they were going to be the victims?
no, no, no. I knew they were going to be the victims.
Oh,
I didn't see the boyfriend being the bad guy.
oh yeah.
I didn't see him being a part of the problem.
I didn't either. That was a nice surprise, but at the same time, like it kind of felt like, did we need it in there? But
It explains a lot.
it
It,
explained a
it
lot. Yeah.
explains why they go rob this container
Yeah.
and they find this box. Like, it gives the beginning of the movie credibility because of how it plays out.
Yeah.
So without it, it would have done exactly what the other movies did, which is somebody stumbled across it, played with it, and oopsie daisy, I unlocked these fucking Cenobites.
Yeah.
This was
You were led there.
Void going, you little junkie, go get that girl and get her to open this box because we need more sacrifices.
Yeah.
And he's like, you got heroin, I'll do it. And then he goes and does it, and then the movie starts. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So, like, I didn't know Voight was still going to be alive. I didn't know the boyfriend was going to be the bad guy or in cahoots with said bad guy.
Yeah. It was,
Like,
yeah, it was a
all that
setup.
stuff was good. And thank you for that. Like,
Yeah.
I didn't want to see this movie coming from a mile away. And
Yeah.
I didn't. They did a good job at masking all those things. They did a great job of masking Voight because she's in the house for hours and hours and hours,
Yeah.
pretty much from like daytime to nighttime, studying and looking over these papers and stuff like that. And we don't know he's there.
Yeah, he just we
until the
just
box is missing.
yeah.
That's when we
And
first realize, you know,
same thing with the boyfriend. If you watch it on your second go around, you'll start noticing like certain shady ass things.
right.
Especially at one point they go back and see the like assistant or whatever, that
Yeah, yeah,
lady in
yeah.
the home and stuff.
Right.
They go or the hospital. They go back and see her, and he's going back and like, oh, I just wanted to call and check on her and stuff.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
just
yeah.
like, well, why?
Yeah.
You were the one that being like, come on, let's get out of here. Let's get out of here, you know?
Yeah, I mean, you see that, and then when he like when she's on the phone and he takes the box and he starts running down the stairs with it at his apartment,
Mm-hmm.
you see like looking back at it, you go, "Oh, that's him like forcing her to go further."
Yeah.
Like, "No, baby, I love you. I'm gonna take this box." Oh, oops, you took it back from me. I guess we're
Yeah.
gonna keep going. Like you see those things, but initially watching the movie, you're like, he just cares and he wants, he's the guy
Yeah.
that just wants to make it stop. He just wants her to be okay, whatever, whatever.
Yeah.
What did you think of the acting from the actors that weren't Cenobites?
The only one that I really had a like problem with
Mm-hmm.
was the first victim, when it's like in the past, and that one like like dude, and he's
The
like
cut off sleeves at the nice
yeah,
party.
at the nice
Yeah.
party and stuff, and he's
Yeah.
like the line delivery,
Mm-hmm.
it's just like it was just kind of like at first when it was getting delivered, I was just like, oh my god, oh
Yeah.
my god, this movie's gonna be something. And then the movie started, and I
Mm-hmm.
was like, okay, this is good.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, when he was delivering his lines, it felt like he was just like, like reading them off
Yeah.
cue cards. So, but the actors in the movie, all of the actors, they are they portray their characters well.
Mm-hmm.
I could understand. They're good actors. I like the fact that there is no like, oh hey, I know who that is kind of
Mm-hmm.
feel. Um, so yeah, I think everybody did a great job acting.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I did too. I really liked Riley. Like I believed all of her emotional stages.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the only other character that has any like real stake in the game is her piece of shit boyfriend. And his that actor, I was kind of like wavy on the whole entire time. I was like, but overall, he did a good job.
Yeah,
The brother is in there for too short of a time. His boyfriend and their roommate, they don't really have,
characters.
yeah,
They're just
you're not developed, they don't develop
yeah,
enough for me to care about them, but
yeah,
the acting that they did do, like Nora the roommate, and you can tell it's a good movie because I remember people's fucking names.
yeah,
um Nora the roommate, like her death when they like bend her back and she goes and like she's staring at Pinhead, like that, I was like, oh, this is getting really good
yeah.
because that's like the first one that you really see.
Mm-hmm.
um so that one I was like, fuck yeah, dude,
Yeah.
like shit's about to go down. um but yeah, the
But
only
that's good
thing,
too, because now we can like build on everything. Like
right,
everything that was done in this movie, if they decide to make a sequel to this, they
mhm.
can build on that.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
can build on, oh yeah, she went back and got the box,
yeah,
and she's going for round two,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, but yeah, there are all of these moments in the movie that push the story forward.
Hmm.
Um, Another thing I wanted to mention that really excited me, and this is another one of those, let's take something that I know and let's add on to it, is the bells. In the soundtrack,
Hmm.
boom, that was always like, the opening credit to Hellraiser,
Hmm.
just those bell noises. But in this, they can actually hear those the
Yeah.
Leviathan
Yeah.
bells kind of deal.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that's good. That I like
Hmm.
that's good. So um
Yeah, I didn't even notice that until the shitty boyfriend, or maybe it was the brother, but like the bell tones and he goes like
yeah,
real quick. I was like, huh? Oh, he hears it. Oh
yeah.
shit. All right,
Well, I
cool.
know the one roommate and stuff. She
Yeah.
when she's got that cut on her back, and
Hmm.
she's like, "I hear bells," and I was like, "Oh, she can hear them
Hmm.
too." I
Yeah.
was excited for that.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, without going to every other, what did you think of the ending? The very end. Like, what do you think happened?
So I might need to go back and watch something because I don't know what the hell that was about. Um, so again, the special effects on that dude's like shit in his body, the thing that's turning his nerves or
Yeah,
whatever, all that looked good. And when it was coming out, it looked good because it looked like real pieces of metal
yeah,
falling. Again, heft, it had weight.
yeah.
Um, but I don't understand if Pinhead just promoted him to a position higher than Pinhead,
No, he
because
chose power.
that's what it seemed like.
His first uh wish or desire
Yeah.
was sensation.
Right.
So he asked for that, and they gave him the sensation. You ain't never gonna feel fucking. And then he solved the puzzle box again, basically using outside help,
Mm-hmm.
and he chose power.
Mm-hmm.
And Leviathan took him and made him a Cenobite, basically. That's what I
Okay.
think. That is where he is being made into a Cenobite, just like what's his face in the second movie, the Doctor. You know, to
Yeah.
think I hesitated, that type of thing.
Yeah.
I think that's what was happening to him. And then they looked at her because she brought them, their victims,
Right.
and asked her,
Yeah.
which one do you want? And she refused.
Yeah.
And they said, fine, the weight of the box will be on your conscience.
Yeah.
And
I think that that's a good way to set up a number two. The
yeah,
thing that confused me was like watching him, like his like mouth peel back and like, all that shit. It looked awesome. It looked
yeah,
really, really good. The only thing that confused me was like it looked like it attached to that structure that he was laying on. So I was like, how is he a useful Cenobite at that point? Because
well, he's
he's
not. Yeah,
stuck to it.
they're just operating.
Hmm.
Then he'll come out a beautiful butterfly.
All
Yeah,
right. We have dicked around with this idea so
yeah.
thoroughly.
All right,
Um, let's go to the Holy Trinity, which is actually four.
four now.
Um,
Yeah,
we can't
and
keep
we're gonna
calling it the
add
Holy
more to it too
Trinity.
one day, huh?
Yeah, yeah. We can't
It's
keep calling it the Holy. What is it? A quintuplet, whatever.
No, it's fine. It's
Anyways,
Trinity. It sounds good. It's like it shows that we're Christian.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Big Christian. As there's a black fucking cross fucking hanging upside down in my room. Well, do you want to start with that? All right. So, do you think this could end up being a cult classic?
Yes, I
Yeah.
think this could. If not, like I don't want to go down that road, but might even be better than the originals. Because it brings such a unique idea.
Yeah.
It's
This is a fully fleshed out idea.
like like we loved fucking Suspiria. It's like, yeah, I really like the first one, but man, that remake was fucking on fire. And
Yeah. And it's
I
really hard to say that.
yeah,
But so let's be honest. The first one was kind of boring.
the Hellraiser.
Hmm. I mean, it
It's
was
not,
shocking, but it was kind of boring. There was a lot of just like
there's a
gross
lot of
wet
dead air,
yeah, yeah. And there was
but
not a lot of dead air in this one.
I
Um,
will I will say though that the first one always will be close.
oh
That
yeah, 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 yeah.
so
Oh, of course. So okay, that brings us to, would you go see this in the movies?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I
And
would.
I do believe that if we saw this in the movie theater, when she delivered the line, "We have such sights to show you," the whole theater would have went, "Oh,"
Yep.
all at once.
All four people in there. It's, no. Okay, go to the next one. I'll tell my joke after. Okay.
Okay. So yes to cult, we both agree. Yes to theaters, yes. Thriller kill, obviously it's a thrill.
Thrill. Yep.
Yeah. Stars. How many stars do you give this movie?
I'm gonna give it a 5-star movie.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
I
Uh,
had 4.5 written down, but then I watched it again. And that alone, like watching them within a 12-hour period twice, the same movie,
yeah.
just it obviously it was that good.
I